Before we get started on this build order, let me explain some of the core ideas that make this base very expensive to raid. Starting with the TC room, we're going to utilize a drop box and sleeping bag here so that we can wall this off completely. Raiders hate to see this because we can upgrade it, and now they have to blow through an armored wall to take TC. Expanding on this initial idea, we can use loot rooms with reinforced glass windows and metal embrasures, making each one just a bit more expensive to raid. Since these loot rooms work best, assuming the raiders don't have building privilege, we can do some clever positioning with them. We can surround the TC room like this and add door frames here. If we fill in the missing triangle foundation on each side, then add this door frame, we have room for furnaces. This makes the horizontal raid cost symmetric and increases the protection of our tool cupboard. Now that you understand the key principles, let's get to the actual build. By the way, I'm Vinny from My Gaming Experience. Welcome to my channel. So the footprint of the final product will look like this. It's sizey, but not huge, so choose your terrain accordingly. So there are multiple ways of accomplishing this build. I'll demonstrate the most practical approach in this video. However, it is possible to throw down the entire footprint, wall it off, and airlock it. If you choose this approach, just make sure you follow the steps closely to fill it in properly. So dividing the entire footprint into 4 sections like so makes the overall build much more practical. We'll start off with this simple footprint here. First, we're going to put down our TC and sleeping bag. We're going to delay fully enclosing the TC room at this point just to make it easier to access. We'll put 2 half walls here for our first loot room, and we'll come right back to that. Next, it's important we put a door here. You can use door frames for later garage doors here and in multiple other places to beef up the base even further, but more on that later in the video. However, this door here is the permanent front entrance, and I suggest leaving that as a regular doorway. We'll put a door frame here and close this triangle. That's where our furnaces will go. We'll finish the starter base by adding a ceiling. Now, I've tested a few raid passes on the finished base, and I challenge you, yes you, to tell me how would you do it. What raid path would you take? What path would you try and avoid? If you have the time to, let me know in the comments below. Now for those half walls. We place them so that we can add this floor tile here, effectively doubling the amount of space where we could place boxes. After it's erected, you can demolish the half walls and replace them with a regular wall. Wait, cut that. Going through our entrance into the base, remember to add these door frames to form your airlock, as well as these ones for added security. We can access the TC room through here, and we have a decent amount of space for some large boxes. Now with the snap of a finger, I'll upgrade all the walls to their final state, fill in our door frames with garage doors, place furnaces and large boxes, and guess what? The first section is done. Moving on to the second section, we'll start by adding this set of foundations. Securing this part of the base is relatively easy, requiring only 5 walls and 1 door, plus a ceiling. It should be said here that all of the normal doors from here on out can be replaced with door frames for future garage doors, or you can use armored doors instead. The choice is yours. If I had to suggest one, it would be the armored doors because it is technically the most secure, but that may be hard for a solo player to accomplish. We'll use the half wall trick again here to double our storage space for this loot room as well. Now it's time to choose garage doors or armored doors. If you're following the video step by step, make sure the soft sides of the walls are the same direction as mine. A good way to do this is by standing on the middle triangle foundation and facing all the soft sides towards you, 2 on each side. Next, we'll add a door frame here for, you guessed it, a garage door. And the second part of our base is, oh wait, upgrades. Now we have double the storage, sheet metal everything, and we can see how this connects to the first part of the base. This is also a good time to place our first drop box. Make sure you do this from the TC room, not the loot room, or it'll be backwards. I've done this. You can place a window frame, reinforced glass windows, and metal embrasures on this loot room now as well. And now, the second part of our base is done. For real this time. Going straight into our third section, we'll build this group of foundations. This section is slightly bigger because there's room for 3 more furnaces here. Although we do not gain another drop box here, this section does give us an additional loot room for storage. This is nice because we now have 3 loot rooms, each containing 4 boxes, which is a ton of storage in my opinion. If you're hearing my voice right now, then I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Many great things to come, my friend. Many great things. I sincerely welcome any feedback you have with open arms. I just wanted to say that. Now let's get these half walls up so we can, you guessed it, put this floor tile here. If there's one thing you need a lot of in Rust, it's storage space. Once we get this wall up, we'll put another one here to seal off more furnaces. We'll add 4 more door frames here to beefing it up a bit. The soft side of these doors should all be facing the loot room wall in this part. And I think you know what's going to happen next. So I've added some garage doors, 3 more furnaces, I've put metal window bars and embrasures here. Now backtracking through the base, we have this loot room, and if we go just a bit further, we have the original section we started with. This is our front door, and if we look out here, it's all starting to come together. The final section of this livable area will basically be connecting these 2 doors so that we don't have 3 entrances right next to each other. And section 3's complete. Going into our final section, we'll throw down this footprint. After we're done building this part, there will be only 1 entrance to the base. We do get our final loot room in here, and since there are no doors leading outside, it only takes 5 walls to complete the shell. Now this is the final section, but we still have the roof, so don't leave just yet or raiders will definitely drill your ceilings. We'll put down a single half wall, because you technically only need 1 to get the floor tile on it. Sorry I didn't show this sooner, by the way. Nevertheless, the end result remains the same. Double the storage here. We'll put up this final door frame. Next, we'll put up the doors soft side towards you. Remember, stand on this triangle. Same thing on this side, using this triangle. I'll do the magical finger snap, and voila! We have our last garage door and last loot room complete. With there being so many doors throughout this base, there is a ton of potential for defense if you happen to get online raided. If you haven't already, this is a great time to wall off the TC room and add the second drop box. Remember to face the soft side of the armored wall towards the TC. With that being said, the 4th part of our base is done. Now for that roof. Although it looks pretty complex, it's not. It's a very simple design which looks very unattractive to raiders. Personally, there's no way I'm going through that. So how do we build it? First off, we'll use half walls here on out because they are cheaper and achieve the same goals. We'll start off over the TC room, make sure the soft sides are all in. The 4 sections following need to have the hard sides facing in. This may seem counterintuitive at first, but it's very important for the raid cost at the end. Basically, these sections are acting as barriers to the raiders being able to get lucky and spend a little bit less sulfur. After we finish these 4 sections, we have to add 2 more half walls. The hard side can be either way here. Its only purpose is to stop drilling on both triangles at once. You can upgrade all those to stone, that is their final state. The rest of the half walls can be facing either way as well. I found that just walking backwards like this is a pretty easy way to put them on. If you're wondering why we're not putting any on the edge of the base, it's because the roofs will occupy these spots. These half walls here are only acting as honeycomb with respect to the roof, so if a roof does get drilled, they will only gain minimal access to tiles. Once that's all upgraded to stone, we can start working on the next layer of protection. Make sure you armor these before you go any further or you won't be able to reach them. We'll add the following floor tiles to these half walls. As this roof is being built, I'd love to know if you see any weaknesses in it. Would you blow in through this roof if you were raiding? And if so, where would you do it? To be cost effective, we're only going to upgrade the triangles here to sheet metal, except for the ones over the tool cupboard, those get armored. Upgrading the squares to sheet metal here would serve no purpose, so we can make them stone. This final set of half walls is identical to the one below it. This weird form of honeycombing will all make sense once we put the slanted roofs on the sides. The easiest way to remember this pattern is to stand on the sheet metal parts and place the walls around you with the hard side facing you. Remember to upgrade all of these walls to sheet metal, except for the 2 cross walls, like you see here. Starting here, above the front entrance, we'll put roof pieces along each one of these edges. This, in combination with the stone half walls we placed earlier, result in a kind of honeycomb that only reveals one roof tile if the raider decides to take one out. Once you have that done, we can start upgrading them all to sheet metal. The final part of the base design is adding these 4 roofs coming off of each section of the TC room. Then of course, we'll upgrade them all to sheet metal. Man, I really love sheet metal. This last little part here secures the TC just a bit more. Make sure you upgrade this half wall to sheet metal. We'll put these 2 triangle floors here and upgrade them as well. We'll do a little walk through the base and then we'll get into some upkeep numbers. I've chosen to go with armored doors for this demonstration. Going in the front, we have our airlock with the garage door. If we open that up, we have our second airlock. Behind this garage door is our first loot room, and behind this is 3 of our furnaces. Remember, you need building priv to open these loot rooms, so good luck raiders. I've left the armored doors off here just so I don't have to open them all in the video. I'll show you why there's so many after the walkthrough. A good thing about this design is it keeps the loot rooms all separate, and there's really no way to take them all at one time. Coming to these garage doors means we are on the opposite side of the base from the entrance. Ah, symmetry. Here we have our third loot room and furnaces here as well. Going through some more hallway, we have this garage door with our final loot room behind it. And if we go just a bit further, we're back at the start of our base with the entrance right here. Now let me show you what's up with all those armored doors. Well, it all comes down to things that go boom. Even an average raider knows to use splash damage to take out multiple things at once. Well, that's where this base design shines. If you look inside the outer shell of the base, all the doors act as a honeycomb in between your loot rooms. This takes away a raider being able to choose a wall that gives them way more than another. As always though, there is a path of least resistance, and it's the walls that have the garage door going to the loot right after it. One is shown here. Keep in mind this will only allow them to access one loot room. And that's pretty much the base. I'll bring up the TC's upkeep for each type of door so that you can compare and see what's most useful for your playstyle. Enjoy!